Hello.
Hello.
So why have you started Art Influence?
We've started Art Influence partly because the organisation that we're running has been going for a couple of decades now, and there's a lot of collated material that could be accessed by the public but needs to be brought together in one forum.
What do you think the importance of having a forum, a public forum, for the art world will be?
I guess the importance is to be a platform for critical debate, but also a place for research and study.
What sort of critical debate?
Well, a lot of the arguments that have been put forward by lecturers over the past 2 decades are quite polemical, and the articles that we're commissioning are by people with very passionate beliefs about the arts, and in that sense could also be taken as quite polemical as well.
And what sort of people are you commissioning?
We're commissioning eminent figures in the art world, plus encouraging a group of young writers to start writing about art as well.
What do you think the importance of getting a younger generation into art is?
Well, that's one of the main reasons of having an online magazine rather than a physical magazine, is to appeal to a younger generation, and the importance with that is that you're then talking to art students who are the future artists, and to young curators, young writers whose thoughts and ideas are being formed at the moment. So what we want to do is show that there is a different way of looking at art, talking about art and curating art than is currently happening.
Peter Fuller, who was he?
He was one of Britain's leading art critics who founded a magazine called Modern Painters in the 1980s that became quite a critical force in Britain, and then started to have an international profile as well. He wrote a number of books on art theory, but also other books. Art and Psychoanalysis was his main book, and he did a number of documentaries. He died at the age of 42 in a car accident that we were both in. He was my late husband and your father.
What impact was he having on the art world towards the end of his life?
He was having quite a serious impact on the way British art was perceived in the world, particularly a renaissance in looking at painting and sculpture instead of conceptual art, which was at the fore before then, in a curatorial museum sense, in terms of contemporary art.
And what has happened since his passing in the art world?
Since his passing, painting and sculpture are now considered to be, some of the most important art forms, along with installation and video in the contemporary arts. Nobody would now say that painting is dead, which is something that used to be said then. And people have become, it's acceptable now to be patriotic towards one's countryman's art, whereas then it wasn't. It was considered ridiculous for Britain to be pushing British artists.
And what about in criticism?
In criticism, well, in criticism, unfortunately, what is happening to media in general is affecting criticism, in that critics are not given the space that they need to develop an argument, because the constraints are much more on the advertising and the revenue of the publication that they're writing for.
How will our influence differ from this?
Because we're an online journal, we're not dealing with advertising, so our writers can write to the full development of their argument.
And what does the name come from?
The name comes from a quote that Peter wrote when he was 20 years old, where he was writing to his future wife, Colette Megine, and he said that he was trying to warn her that he had serious things to do, he felt, in the world, and he was going to be somebody who would influence the minds of men. And so we came up with the title Art Influence.
Do you think it will influence people?
I think it definitely will, because we have so much material to gradually include on the site. Because you and your sister own the copyright, we can add anything that you feel is appropriate from Peter's own writings, speeches, documentaries. And we have 16 past lecturers who gave lectures at the Tate, the Slade, many of the Tates actually, St Ives, Liverpool, Modern Britain, and this year the lecture will be given at the Royal College of Art. So, you know, the amazing speakers we've had over the years from quite diverse backgrounds. Approximately half of them are artists, but the others are from many different fields. So we have all that to draw on, as well as commissioning new articles from people.
What do you hope to change with this magazine?
Well, for some time, I had felt that a single lecture wasn't really doing what I had initially set out to do with setting up the foundation. And probably when I stopped being a trustee in 1998, I'd got disillusioned with the fact that it wasn't really doing what I hoped it would do. But with the continuation of the lecture series, which is down to the Roy Oxlade and the other trustees who took over to actually have the momentum to keep it going, it's built up so much archival material that material becomes quite a very good study area. And I know that you're particularly interested in continuing the lecture, but I feel that now, with the past, with having collected so many different lecturers and lectures, with the Peter Fuller archive behind us as well, that it's not one person's voice that is now being heard, it's many. And with it being many, it should have an effect on the arts, the way the arts are viewed, and be able to be a voice.
I think that's really good.